Hello, hello, lads. I'm here to take a stab at one of the weirdest movies I have ever fucking watched in my entire life. What a weird fucking movie, man. This movie is weird. Just got done watching. It's fucking 2:13 in the morning, lads. So I'm kind of tired. I think I've said that before, but I'm still going to give this my best bet. My best bet, best shot, whatever you want to call it, 110%. Because I've been interested in this one for a little bit. Never had time to fucking watch it, but I finally just bit the bullet, sat down, and took a late night and watched it. And this one is fucking weird, dude. The Lords of Salem from your boy, Rob Zombie. On my quest to go through his entire filmography and then rank all of these movies, which I'm eventually going to do. I've checked out some rankings just to kind of see the highs and lows of Mr. Rob Zombie. So, 31 was something that was ranked low, and yeah, 31's not a good movie. And this, to my knowledge and all the rankings I've seen, this is ranked high. Like, some people think this is his best movie. They think this is his best work. What do I think? Is this Rob Zombie's best movie? No, it is not. I'm sorry. This is not his best movie. The stars will have to align, lads, before he creates something as good as Halloween 2 ever again. Sorry. Halloween 2 is a fucking wonderful Shakespearean tragedy. And it is wonderful. It's so fucking good. And genuinely misunderstood, misunderrated horror. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece. I would call it Rob's masterpiece. I think my title of that review still holds up. It's still Rob Zombie's horror masterpiece for right now until he gives us something better. This is not his best movie. However, watching it, I do understand why some people think it's his best movie. I do understand why people think that. This is definitely one of the most visually interesting movies that he has put out. I think it's definitely more visually interesting than 31. It's different. Its visual style is distinct and unique, and it's different from the Halloweens in its own little way. Like, It's definitely got a unique visuals. The camera work and lighting are absolutely superb in this. Just the filmmaking is all around good in this. It's a very well-made movie. I see why people think it's his best. I really do. He gets the visual stuff, the atmosphere, the tone, all of that stuff. He gets really right in this. And the pacing's actually better in this too. His actual pacing, it's not perfect. There are some issues with the pacing. But, this is a much better paced movie than 31 is. Holy shit. It's amazing that, he didn't look at 31 and go, this is paced like total shit. It's the structure of 31 is complete garbage. The structure of this movie isn't garbage. It's not garbage. This is a well-structured movie. I do have some issues with the pacing. But overall, it's night and day compared to 31. It's night and day. And another treat that I definitely think people think this is his best movie for this reason. The dialogue is better in this. Not every word is skull, fuck you, bitch, skull, fuck you, bitch. All that shit significantly toned down in this. So there's not a lot of white trash in this. There really isn't any. There really isn't any white trash. There really isn't any, white trash in this. There's profanity, don't get me wrong, but it's in all the other movies, it's every word with shit, bitch, fuck, cunt, fart, bitch, all that stuff. It's not significantly as bad as the two Halloweens or the 31 movie in regards to the profanity of the motion picture. Okay? However, we still got some issues here. And we'll go ahead and start going through them, okay? So let's start with the opening of this movie, okay? It opens with some weird letter being written, or I guess it's the diary. I've seen the rest about this. this Hawthorne guy, this Puritan, talking about how he is going to destroy all that worship Satan, okay? And here is where we start. This is a very, like, Rob Zombie, clearly, based on some of his music and stuff like that, he has a fascination with Salem. I think that's very obvious, and he made this whole movie kind of dedicated to it. I don't know his religious beliefs, and I'm not even going to try to figure it out. I'm someone that doesn't buy this crap. Like, I think this crap is fake. Sorry. I am an atheist at heart, lads. So, like, I have a very different relationship to this style of horror than others. Like, whereas some people, like, The Exorcist and The Conjuring so fucking scary, bro. The demons are real, bro. The Exorcist could really, like, my mom thinks The Exorcist is scary because, like, that could really happen. Like, I don't buy that. All this crap is pure, made-up fiction to me. I regard it as fiction. The Bible's fiction, all that shit's fiction. So I have a very different relationship to this style. The Exorcist is obviously a horror classic, and it is a very well-made masterpiece. It's good. The Exorcist is obviously good, and then The Conjurings I also do like. I do not like The Conjuring 3. We will definitely be reviewing that one day. That movie is a slog to get through. But, like, there are aspects of The Exorcist and the first two Conjuring movies and Annabelle Creation that, like, I definitely do get behind what they're doing in those movies. This, however, was just, I don't know. I feel like whereas The Exorcist and The Exorcist had a very well-designed characters and Father Karras, and, like, there was, like, you could argue, you could contextualize The Exorcist and The Conjurings and their writing as a critique of the Catholic Church, okay? Now, that might not be what they're going for, it might not be, but, like, someone like me, I can look at The Conjuring and The Exorcist. It's like Father Merrin in The Exorcist. This is just an example. Father Merrin in The Exorcist, his classical way of exorcising the demon through the pure biblical way that's laid out, it doesn't work. It doesn't get Pazuzu out. The only way to get Pazuzu out is for Father Karras to go in and do a different, he does a more human way to get the demon out, right? He makes the demon enter him and then he kills himself. That ain't Catholic doctrine. So, like, you could view that as, like, you have to attack modern problems with modern solutions, which the Catholic Church is really bad at. Kind of same thing in like The Conjurings, for instance. And again, that's another review for another day. Whereas, like, the church only approves the exorcism after the Warrens already went in there and took care of it because they did it off the book. Like, stuff like that. Like, you could, but, like, this, there's nothing going on here like that. This is purely just Satan shock value kind of stuff. So, like, already, it doesn't hit me the same way. When the witches at the beginning, because here's what happens at the beginning. They start chanting this shit about how Jesus is the, what the fuck do they say? They start dancing and, like, they spew their weird Jesus is the persecutor. Jesus is the, like, it doesn't do anything for me, bro. I can tell, like, this is just what's being written in this opening with the witches, and then a lot of scenes later is just specifically designed to, like, make the religio in you go, that's weird. Well, yeah, it is weird, but it's certainly a weird movie, but, like, it's weird because not because you're talking about Jesus is evil and Satan is we love Satan's evil, we must defile the persecutor of Jesus. Like, it just doesn't work on me, dude. Like, I sit there and I go, oh, God. You know, that's me. But anyway, so the witches, here's the scariest part of the opening scene. The witches start fucking stripping naked, and you get to watch them, like, dance and do Ring Around the Rosie in the opening. So, like, I hope you like old lady titties, because you get a fucking lot of them in this movie. Holy fuck. You're gonna have to go watch the Friday the 13th 09 sex scene just to fucking get the old lady titties out of your head after watching this. Holy fuck. So after that ridiculous opening, which you can't really say much about it now, but like it'll come back later, right? Like you can't say much about it now. All the pieces start getting pieced together as you kind of go through the movie. The next thing that happens is that Heidi, who is the Sherry Moon character, Sherry Moon zombie, wakes up, she go get the newspaper, and she sees the quote-unquote new tenant in apartment number 5. Okay, so she walks out, there's like a newspaper on the ground, and she sees, like, there's a thing in apartment 5, which is obviously not, it's like a ghost or whatever, right? So, Lacey's like the complex owner. She's like, there's no one in apartment 5, but if I'll go up and check it if it makes you feel better. You know, so then we see that Heidi's working for this radio station. They have on this fucking weirdo who's talking more Satan bollocks and more Satan shit. Like, I can't believe so many women listen to this crap, but, you know, whatever. So like, Jesus is the true bringer of death, he says, or whatever. Like, it's a bunch of nonsense. So basically, that's basically what they do. Like, that's their job. Like, they're really leaning their radio station, which is run by Heidi, Whitey, who was the Rob Zombie lookalike, and then I think the black guy's played by Joe Grizzly, bitch. I don't fucking know. It kind of looked like him, but I couldn't really tell because he looked a little older. But he was a little older. He's like, if he like Halloween was 07, so this would have been, and this is 012, so that would have been 5 years later. I don't fucking know. I'm just gonna call him Joe Grizzly, bitch, and if you think that's racist, I'm very sorry. But that's just how I know. He doesn't do much in the movie, anyway. So, after their thing, they have a drink, go down, and then it's like, there's this record waiting for you. I almost call it Charlie. I've called her Charlie like 16 times. The secretary's like, there's this vinyl here for you, Heidi. It's just specifically addressed to you. That's weird, isn't it? Wow. So she and Whitey take it back to Heidi's apartment, and then they play it. And as soon as they play it, Heidi has this weird vision of like the witches, and they like have this like it's this weird vision like the witches like ritual birth this baby that they did immediately curse and then spit on the baby, okay? It's just some weird shit. And then as soon as Whitey turns off the vinyl, it stops, okay? So there's like this weird thing going on with the vinyl record. It just kind of showed up like it's a fucking Sonic.exe fucking video game, right? It's like a creepypasta where, oh, it just showed up on my doorstep. Oh, I'm just gonna buy it. I'm just gonna buy the Nintendo 64 for free. Like, I'm just gonna buy it, but the guy gave it to me for free. You know, like creepypasta shit. So like, Whitey leaves, and then he's, or does he stay on the couch? I don't remember. But like, right before Heidi goes to bed, she passes, like, I guess it's the ghost of one of the witches in the bathroom, and she doesn't really notice it. Okay, that's the first kind of thing. So there's something going on with this vinyl, and there's something going on with the vinyl. It starts affecting, it's affecting Heidi when it's played. Okay, so the next day we get a snippet and we learn that Heidi is a recovering drug addict. Okay, this aspect of the character is where the movie both, like, this is like the biggest problem with the movie. Okay, this, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, you can tell this was Rob Zombie's follow-up to Halloween 2. Because the Halloween 2, the way that it's structured and the way that this is structured is honestly very similar. Like, Zombie was kind of relying on Sherry Moon to deliver the same kind of performance as Scout Taylor Compton in Halloween 2, whereas Scout Taylor Compton was able to portray Laurie's descent into madness and by extension carry the fucking movie. Okay? Here's the problem. Sherry Moon is not as talented as Scout. That's the problem. I think if Scout was in this role, she'd be doing a lot better job. Sherry, I don't buy her as the character she's playing in this. I don't buy it. Like, she comes off as more natural when she's like, when she's like kind of acting as herself. When she's acting as like, when she's supposed to be scared or something, or supposed to be kind of acting like a druggie, which is very few, like, she doesn't have to do that much, but like, she can't carry the movie. When it's time to do the scenes that require the horror, and it's time to start doing it, kicking it, she can't really kick the movie into the gear it needs to kind of go in. And this is kind of where the pacing issue comes in, because the performance that she gives can't carry the movie. She can't play the character she needs to play. She can't play this drug addict. She can't play the struggling, recovering addict who's slipping back into this addiction. She can't play it. The intensity isn't there. She doesn't come off as like an Amanda from Saw, for instance, or as that kind of, she doesn't come off as that kind of, like, it's not natural. And because she can't carry this, she can't deliver the weight that some of the scenes need to be delivered, the pacing kind of is off. You almost can't tell if it's the script's actual pacing or it's that her performance can't give the intensity it needs to really kick that movie into the gear it needs to kick in. Either way, something's wrong with the performance and the pacing, and I feel like those issues kind of go together, because she can't really carry the movie. And I think, and then it's on one hand you could argue it's the script, because on one hand you could argue it's the script because the script doesn't flesh out this aspect to her character or use it enough. Frankly, the drug, it does come up in a few scenes, but it needed to come up a lot more. That way you could give her more material to really deliver a kind of performance. So that's the argument for it being the script. However, the argument against her is that it could be that the scenes that were there did not have enough weight behind the performance to actually carry the pacing in the way it needed to go. Okay? So there's definitely, I honestly, I can't really take a side. It might be a bit of both. Usually two extremes, it's usually somewhere in the middle. The script didn't do her many favors, and she didn't do the script many favors. I think both needed work. Okay, so there you go on that. So, she definitely needed more of that. But anyway, she's a druggie, right? That's the problem. And like, this movie then could have used that idea to kind of play with the idea that Heidi is an unreliable narrator, which it doesn't really do. This is another problem. It doesn't really lean into that aspect of Heidi being an unreliable narrator as well as it should. Again, this is very bare bones, bare surface level, but Rob Zombie was clearly more interested in showing old lady titties and doing the witchcraft scenes and the hallucination scenes, which he does lean into a bit too much in this movie. There's too many of them. There's too many of them, and that just, you can tell when something's real and when it's not real. Or if some of it might be real, some of it might not be real. It's very predictable when Heidi's about to fucking wake up in her bed, for instance. It's very predictable when that's about to happen. Okay, but anyway, so the next major plot thing, it's the scene of her in drug recovery intervention, whatever that is very brief. And then we're back at her work now, and the next major character is introduced. It's the author who wrote a book on the Salem witch trials, and so they're asking him a bit about the trials. And then he said, I actually wrote this down because he said that the belief in witchcraft is a psychotic one brought about by a delusional state of mind. And that's why I thought we were going to get more drug stuff, because like that line to me clearly set up the fact that Heidi was about to relapse. And this is a very predictable movie. It's a very predictable movie. You can guess 9 out of the 10 things that happen in this movie. You can guess that, oh, okay, so like delusional state of mind, the former drug addict is probably going to relapse. They did not do the unreliable narration thing, but they should have. That was the one thing that they needed to do and didn't do it. So that's unfortunate. But anyway, so they do their segment called Smash or Trash. It's this no, it's not Tinder. It's not Tinder. Smash or Trash. It's not Tinder. That could be a dating app, Smash or Trash. But anyway, so the segment is they play a song and the viewers decide if it's trash or smash, as in smash it on the radio, I guess. I don't fucking know. So they play the Lord. They say that the note for Heidi said that it was brought by the Lords, and so they said they must have been from Salem, so it's the Lords of Salem. And then they play the record, and then the guy who wrote the book's making the face, and all the women that are listening to that on the radio start getting in this trance or something. Some of them are naked, and I actually think the best looking naked girl is actually in that scene. So there you go on that one. But there was one witch at the start that wasn't an old lady. You didn't get to see much of her. So I don't do what you want with that information, you pervs. But anyway. So, basically, the author goes home, and he is curious about the music because there's just something about it that bothers him. Which, I mean, I let it go. Because, sure, this guy, he's important, whatever. Something about it bothers him. Shit bothers me all the time, and I make videos on it, and I look it up more. So, yeah, I get it, sure. So, Heidi goes home, she plays, and then Lacey's having a drink with her sisters and wants Heidi to join them. Oh, really? Lacey, an older woman, and her two old lady sister friends are having a drink, and they want Heidi to join them. I wonder if they're witches or not. I'm not a big fan of the witches. Not just these witches, just witches in general. Not my favorite. Not my favorite horror thing ever. So it's that's why I feel like I'm giving this movie kind of a hard time, because this is a well-made movie. I must continue to stress that. This is a well-made movie. I understand why people like this movie. I do. This is just not my cup of tea. This is just not my, this isn't my aspect of horror that I really like, if that makes any sense. But I get why people like it, because again, the shots are really good. The camera work of the hallway is really good. How the camera moves slow and the lighting is really good. How there's one shingle swaying at the start is really good, and then like as the movie progresses, more shingles start swaying. This is an objectively well-made film. Okay, I must continue to stress that as I keep slamming the plot. But anyway, so one of the sisters as a palm reader, which again, that, like, she's a palm reader, like, it's very obvious that they're witches, bro. And so, like, there's a nice, while one of the sisters is reading Heidi's palm, there's a very impressive shot of the Pieta statue in the room. I really liked that shot. He does, like, this downward view of this Pieta statue, Rob does with the camera. It's really solid. It's really solid. But there was some good lines about fate and destiny, whereas destiny is something you can influence and fate isn't. I don't know. I kind of like those lines. I think their accuracy can be questioned a little bit. It feels like destiny and fate are a little bit closer links than the sister thought. But, oh well. So, Heidi goes up to bed, but she's awoken by her dog scratching at the door of apartment 5. The door slowly opens, okay, and then there's a red lighting, similar to the lighting of the witch scenes. All of the witch flashback scenes, like the ritual and all the weird scenes, they have a very distinct lighting, okay? Like, there's this red hue that dominates all of them. So you see that red hue coming from the door, and you know what's basically in there, okay? Like, we're going to get some witch stuff now, which I like that. That's good. But, like, I liked the decision to use the lighting in that way. In those scenes, to demonstrate what the red lighting in the present means we're about to get some witch shit. That was good. That was good. But, anyway. So basically, Heidi enters the door, and it closes on its own. Like, she enters the room, and then, like, the camera doesn't move. Like, she enters the apartment 5, and then the door closes without the camera moving. Very solid stuff from Rob there behind the camera. Good stuff there. And it's at this point in the movie that I noticed that, like, the horror is starting to happen, but it's very quiet. This is a very quiet movie that relies on its atmosphere to build the tension. It relies on the atmosphere to build the tension. Very solid stuff, and stuff you don't normally see from Rob. That might have been the people helping him, like the Insidious and Paranormal Activity people, like, produced it. So, like, but, like, it's different from Rob. This movie definitely showed you another side to him as a filmmaker, and that's another reason that I respect it. So basically, Heidi sees this, like, cross on the wall, and is kind of, like, entranced by it, and then there's this Yeti-looking thing that's, like, standing there, it's growling and watching her, and, like, the camera work, even throughout this entire sequence, retains its slow and methodical like, the part of the reason this movie feels slow is because the camera's slow, and I think that works here. It's just, like, when it's time to deliver the punch, the style doesn't change very much, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity, but whatever. So basically, Heidi's basically hearing the witches talk as, she leaves the room, like, I forgot, I'm skipping around a little bit. So, like, she's, like, having this weird thing. She stretches out at the cross, and, like, there's this weird hallucination. She ends up leaving the room, and the camera starts from across the room, and it slowly, I'm doing this in my car, slowly goes up closer to her as the witches are talking. I liked that as well. Like, again, just because the witch stuff isn't my cup of tea, I can recognize that it's being done right here. The camera work is being done in tandem with the witch voices that Heidi is entranced by. If I'm calling her Charlie, I feel like I am. But that Heidi's entranced by, though. It's really good. That's really good. And it works well to build the atmosphere there. So, basically, she then sees one of the witches who commands her to breed us a king. And she's doing her weird old lady, breed us a king! And then she wakes up in her bed. Okay? And it's like, it's really unknown if all of that was a dream. And, like, good, sure. That was basically needed. So, this kind of ruins Heidi's day, and she starts, she needs to get out, so she walks through a graveyard, and she ends up sitting in this chapel, okay? And she says that she needs to sit in the chapel for a little bit. A priest shows up and what are you doing here? She's like, I just thought I needed to sit here for a little bit. And then the priest, this literally, you can't make this up. This scene was the most poorly paced one in the movie. Holy shit. The priest is sitting there, and he touches her shoulder, and as soon as the priest touches your shoulder, you know what's gonna happen. Again, this is a very predictable movie. That's the problem with the slow, it's the problem here. It's oh, he's gonna fucking sexually assault her, isn't he? I know my Catholic priest, Rob, feels swell there, but so he starts talking God doesn't spare angels who sin, which is in the trailer. That's actually a good line. I wish they got more value out of it than just being in a hallucination sequence. So, spoilers. But, so, he starts spouting gibberish about Michael fighting the angels and all that shit. And then he immediately, he starts talking about how she's a whore or something. He starts talking about how she's a whore as he unzips his pants, which we never really see her being a whore in the movie. So, I don't get that. But he's talking about how she's a whore, so she's a whore, as he unzips his pants and makes her suck his dick. Okay? And then Charlie immediately starts sucking his penis. You can't make this shit up. So it's at this point you're going, Rob, what the fuck are you doing? Why isn't she, screaming and biting his cock, bro? What's going on here? Oh, hallucination. Sure. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Now that makes sense. And, she fell asleep in the chapels, what's happening. So, we got 2 hallucinations within the span of, 30 seconds of each other. That's why, again, too many of them. Too many of them. But then the real priest is there, and he wakes her up, and then she leaves the room. And it's at this point, I'm what, is this person reliable or not? The problem, we don't really, I definitely would rather have a scene of her coworkers, giving her an intervention for the drugs that she's not doing, or maybe she is, stuff like that. I would rather have that kind of development rather than a scene of some random priest making her suck his dick in a dream. You know what I'm saying? We're getting... The characterization is being neglected in favor of silly dream sequences. Another issue I had with Halloween 2. But anyway, so the author of the book sitting there, she finds evidence that the Puritan guy Hawthorne, he burned all the witches alive. And then we get a nice flashback sequence of the witches actually burning, which is actually really good. That sequence is actually really good. You can tell Rob savored all the details he was kind of using there with the witches actually burning alive. That was really good. So basically, the diary of Hawthorne states that he called these specific witches the Lords of Salem, the parallel to what they called the group who distributed the record, the Lords of Salem. Got it, good. So then he notices that some of the music cues, and then he makes his wife play it on the piano, and surprise, surprise, the shit that's in the diary is the same notes as the fucking vinyl, right? Cool. Get it? Got it? Good. So it's then announced that this band that produced the record, the Lords of Salem, they're coming to Salem for one night to do a free show. Cool. So, they basically play the music again at the radio station, and Hailey starts freaking out, leaving the room coughing. And I'm like, we better be getting to the drug stuff, because that's what needs to happen in this movie right now. She locks herself in the bathroom and has a fucking mental breakdown over what's being played. And I'm like, these guys need to go after her about the drugs. We need a scene of the drugs. Like, what are you, like, we need a scene of them calling her out saying, you're on drugs again. What the fuck are you doing? We never got that. Her two coworkers don't get as aggressive with her as I would have liked. But maybe that's not how you handle this. I don't fucking know. But it's like, I guess aggressive is a bad word choice. They never get as, assertive. Let's use that word. They never get as assertive to her as I wish I would have liked. Okay? So, basically, the author then tracks down another author who wrote a book on the Hawthorne, I guess. Well, he wrote another book. Okay? They study the same shit. And this guy revealed that Hawthorne was obsessed with this covenant of 6 witches named Margaret Morgan. Just going to call her Morgan for short. And the covenant of 6 witches who were his belief was that they were making music to possess the souls of the Salem women. Got it? Get it? Got it? Good. So he lays out that basically that Morgan put a curse. Morgan's a real witch name, I think. Maybe Morgan Aslan from, was it Darkstalkers? Is that it? The really hot vampire with the green hair. Yeah, Morgan Aslan. But, or there's an episode story I actually kind of like with a character named Morgan, and that's a review for another fucking day. But anyway, so basically he puts this curse about gibberish about the daughter's death or some daughter's deaths or some shit. But then the interesting thing is that, Hawthorne's bloodline is the vessel by which the devil's child will inherit the earth. That's the other curse. Oh, the devil's, I wonder who is the fucking descendant of the Hawthorne guy. I wonder who it is. I wonder who it is, bro. I wonder who's in the bloodline. I would have had more respect for this script if they flipped it on us and said that her coworker was Hawthorne's descendant and he needed to fuck her and then they have sex and he puts the baby in her and that's how it gets fucking born. Because obviously right now everybody and their mother's brother knows that Heidi is the descendant of Hawthorne. As soon as they say that. Like, you're not stupid and you don't need a fucking Wikipedia summary to fucking tell you that. So, we finally get the scene we need, and it's very underwhelming. The Rob Zombie-looking guy finally gets, he tries to talk to her about, what happened last night. And then Heidi immediately, swears she's clean. And she tries to explain that the Lord's record is, messing with her. And then she immediately starts, coughing up blood. Okay, these things in black then, have to come up and they do these weird things, and then they start ripping shit out of her, and then she wakes up in her own bed. So, again, another hallucination. We got 2 hallucinations, one scene where she starts throwing up and shit. So we got, 3 out of her last 4 scenes have been hallucinations. Way too many of them, bro. Way too many of them. So, basically, she then wakes up in her own apartment, and you'll never guess what happens next. What do you think happens at the apartment, bro? Take one guess. What do you think happens right after she wakes up from having a hallucination? What do you think happens? Oh, she has another one. She literally has a hallucination right after she wakes up from her last hallucination. So basically, these hallucinations make her start relapsing, and she finally, she starts using drugs again. She only uses them once, okay? She fucking takes the drugs and is in a very bad, drug-induced state. And then, whoa, here comes the fucking owner and her creepy sisters. So here they come, just magically knowing you had a fucking drug problem. You're relapsed on drugs, and they're like, oh, do you need some tea, dear? Or whatever the fuck they say. So, as this is happening, the author of the book discovers that, whoa, Heidi's actually the descendant of Hawthorne. No fucking way. No shit, Sherlock. Helen Keller could have told you that. And she don't know anything about anything. No shit. And it's the movie treats this as holy fuck. It treats this as this big holy shit moment. Where it's oh my god, I figured this out fucking 15 minutes ago, bro. I figured this out 15 fucking minutes ago. But I guess for the fucking 2 people in the back that didn't, I guess you needed that. Jesus Christ. So, basically, he tries to call her, but the sisters, hang up, and then they drag a drug-induced Heidi into apartment 5, And they start repeating the same fucking shit. I didn't write it down, but I could tell, I could recognize the lines. It was the same Jesus shit that the witches at the start were chanting at the very opening scene of the movie. So they open the door and send her in there. And then here's where the movie gets visually really good. This is the scene that's on your screen right now. Heidi, like, enters this big opera-looking church, chapel-looking thing, and then there's this choir going off. And I actually like the detail of the choir going off as she scans the room and then ascends up the stairs. It made you really feel like you were in this room as a part of this church. And I feel like Rob really nailed the aesthetics of this particular scene. I think he did a really nice job here. And then this is the scene again where she's sporting that look and she's walking up the stairs. And so, like, that whole thing, really well done. That's all really well done. But then you start to see the fucking thing at the top of the thing, and it's like, oh no, what the fuck is that, Rob? That's literally what I said. I call him Rob like I know. I saw this big, it looks like this weird fucking fat Majin Buu, like if he like had a crack binge. You know, is that the Majin Buu, right, from Dragon Ball? It's like if he had a crack binge and then got naked. Like, that's what this damn thing looked like. And it's that thing sitting there at the top of the stairs, and I'm like, oh no, Rob, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I want to go home. I want to go home, Rob. This damn thing tentacles start spewing out of this fucking thing, and then Charlie, I know I've been doing it in this review. Heidi grabs them with her hands, and then the things are, and then that's how that fucking ends. So she walks out of apartment 5, and then the fucking women are there, and they, like, the witches are there, and they fucking, like, are bowing to her, and they take her back to the bed, and then the fucking Majin Buu crack bench thing steps up and, like, watches her sleep, and then that's the scene. Cute, right? So then next day, the author guy leaves his house to find Heidi, and her coworker calls her. This is a really good scene. In terms of the character work, this right here is the best scene of the movie. When Whitey, her coworker, calls her, and he tries to get her to, like, hang out with them before the concert. She's obviously still kind of drugged out and stuff when she's on the phone. Like, she's sweating, and, like, she's, like, kind of, like, swaying as she takes the call. And he's like, I want to hang out tonight before they can get some dinner. I want to hook up and get some dinner. Like, hook up not in a sexual way, but, like, hook up is I want to get dinner. And she's like, no, I'm good. And then he tries to, like, make her say, I'll come by, pick you up. And he goes, no, I'll get there myself. And then she's like, bye. And then he goes, don't hang up. I don't understand what's going on, but I'm still here. Like, you know, he's like, probably like a real way. Like, this scene was the most realistic because it's like the guy, it was the most realistic scene of the guy attempting to, like, get through to her. I appreciated that scene. However, think about where it was happening. This is why this is the best scene in the movie. It was over the telephone. What does that demonstrate? The scene is taking place over the phone. There's a vast amount of distance between the two characters as this conversation's happening. Heidi's gone. Like, that's what you're getting from that. Heidi's already gone. She's done. She's dead. She's dead woman walking. She's gone. Right? That's what, like, the distance between him and her during this conversation is telling you, it is communicating to you subconsciously that she's done. She's gone. Like, if you know that, you know that. She's gone. Too much distance. There's too much distance, too much separation there. She's already in the witch's power. She's gone. That was a really nice detail. The very good scene. Probably the best scene of the movie in terms of the character work. So, basically, the author tries to meet with Heidi, but the witches invite him in, and then they start talking about Heidi as theirs in, like, a very possessive way. It's kind of on the nose, but that's all right. And the witch is like, I think you want to get inside of her brain and fuck her brains out. I think you just want to stick your cock in her brain, or whatever they say. And then they whack him with a pan, and then they kill him, which Heidi can hear in her room, but she doesn't do anything about it. Okay, sure. So, basically, Whitey arrives to the apartment, and the witches let him go see Heidi, and, like, she's obviously like, what are you doing here? And then the lead one, Lacey, comes up, and she orders Heidi to make him, like, leave, okay? And, like, it's showing that Heidi is in their power or whatever, and then they let Heidi leave after that. I don't know, that was kind of a weird scene. And then basically they get to the concert, and then Heidi shuts out Whitey and the other coworker, and is on the top of this opera house thing. Like she's on the top, and the concert's kind of starting down there, okay? And so the witches are down there. I guess the witches are down there, and then the actual ghosts of the other witches to come into the frame. It's very well shot and well done. The witches' ghosts enter from behind the three other witches, and then they start saying how about they've been waiting for, like Morgan's ghost says, we've been waiting for you, Heidi, or whatever. And then we get the weirdest scene of the fucking movie. Again, the third act of this movie is really fucking weird. It's weird, awkward, and honestly kind of bad. The intensity's just not there. The characters don't have any unique interactions. It's all just a big, weird hallucination. It doesn't really do what it needs to do, I don't think. But anyway, there's this weird fucking hallucination of the naked witches. Like, the audience, the women in the audience, like, get their fucking clothes off or something. And don't get too excited. It's not as sexy as it sounds, trust me. There's another weird priest-looking figure. There's three more of them that are legit stroking their penises. I didn't really need to see that, but I did. So you should all watch this movie because I got to watch it. And then she's like riding this goat or whatever. And then she's tied down with a very similar red-looking hue. She gives birth to this Cthulhu-looking tentacle thing, which would be cool if this was actual cosmic horror, but it's not cosmic horror. This thing's supposed to be the stupid Antichrist. It looks really fucking weird. And then the next scene, the ghost is holding it, and she, like, straddles Satan's offspring or whatever, and then the next scene is Heidi standing above, like, all the dead audience members, and then the post and in the credits they report that there was a mass suicide of the members of the Salem Historical Society or whatever the fuck, and that Heidi's disappeared, and that's the movie. Very abrupt ending. The ending of this movie is kind of bad. I don't even know what I was expecting for an ending to this movie. I just tell it wasn't that, though. Just know it wasn't that. I mean, you could have done the whole giving birth stuff. I just feel like the other characters should have been more involved. It just feels like it feels like the third act was leading too much into the visuals and not enough into the characters. That's what it kind of felt like. Like, there's no character, because there was like nothing going on with the characters. There was very little at stake for me to care about within the final shit. It was just you were watching it happen, right? There was nothing for you to actually care about. You were just watching out of curiosity more than anything else. Okay, so that's The Lords of Salem. Very weird fucking movie. Very weird fucking movie, as I said before. But again, the visual style is interesting. The dialogue from the Rob Zombieism to the white trash, all that shit's scaled back. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, if that makes sense. Because I've said in my Supernatural thing that I never wanted to see Rob Zombie Supernatural ever. And some of the stuff I was worried about did kind of happen. Whereas, like, again, Rob didn't really know what to do in that third act to kind of, get it where it needed to be. The reason why Supernatural, I was kind of worried about it with Rob, was that Supernatural works best when the characters are done right. Like, you have to do character work. It's not just like a slasher movie where you can have kind of some underdeveloped characters and get away with it. In supernatural horror, you really have to, like, have good character work. That's why, like, Conjuring 1 and 2 are really good, but the third one fell flat because the character work in 3 is garbage. The character work in 1 and 2 is brilliant. And The Exorcist, the 3 biggest examples. Like, the Father Karras is a really developed character, and the horror of the story, it relates to the protagonist in some way. The demon in The Exorcist, Pazuzu, plays with Father Karras about his dead mother. And in The Conjurings, like, especially the second one, where Valak plays with Lorraine's fears that Ed is going to die. And, like, Valak is giving Lorraine these premonitions. And then, the perversion of motherhood that happens in the first one, where it's, like, Lorraine and Judy and, like, all that shit about how, like Lorraine cares about being a mother. The perversion that Bathsheba, there's a lot of, like, the supernatural stuff directly goes with the protagonist. If it doesn't, it's going to fall flat on its face. And then again, even like, it doesn't just have to be there, it has to be executed well. You can do it poorly. Like in the Annabelle movie, the first Annabelle movie, and in The Nun, like how Valak is kind of perversion of faith, and then like that nun was gonna take her vows or whatever. Like you can still have it, but it's got to be done right. In this, it just feels like Rob couldn't write it, so he didn't try to write it. You know, the drugs were what you needed to use here. The fact that this character was on drugs was a struggling addict, and that needed to come up way more than it fucking did. The fact that didn't come up more, because again, we were doing spooky visions. It feels like Rob wanted to do the spooky visions rather than the character stuff. Again, this is a Halloween 2 issue as well. But in Halloween 2, the character work was done better, and Scout Taylor Compton delivered a better performance reflecting her character's nature. People say this is one of Sherry's better performances because she doesn't talk a whole lot, and it's like stuff like I literally saw that on a comment section. This is one of her better performances because she doesn't talk a lot. This is not one of her better performances because she's playing an intense character, but you can't tell. She's playing a struggling, recovering addict, but you can't tell. This character's mindset should be deranged, and it's just not. She's very grounded and doesn't say much. This character should be lashing out, but she's just not, right? I just feel like I don't know, again, it's a combination of issues between her and the script. The script is at fault as well. It just feels like Rob also didn't write the character correctly. Because I don't think Rob's ever been a struggling addict before. Not that you need to be to kind of write the character right, but like when you're trying to portray something, you have to do a lot of research on it, right? Like she should have been having fucking what are those called? Like withdrawal symptoms. Her withdrawal symptoms should have been huge, and that should have been a plot point that she's still going through withdrawal. She's still going through withdrawal. Her recovery is recent. So it's very easy for her to slip back. You could have even made, this is like the third time she's tried to quit or something. So she could fall back. There's the danger of her falling back is real. Like stuff like that. Little aspects of the character work of Heidi really needed to be, you know, and more emphasized than they really were. They were just footnotes when they really needed to be magnified. And then the third act just doesn't do anything with the characters and is in favor of one big awkward hallucination that doesn't really do anything or close the movie out in any real way, leading to an abrupt ending. Which again, the pacing is better. It's a little bit slow. We've already talked about that. But again, it's worth a wait. Again, if you like Rob, it's worth a watch. This is a movie I think he can when he makes another fucking horror movie, he needs to take more things away from this movie rather than 31. This is a better movie than 31. It is. This is a better movie than 31, and it's better than a lot of the other movies that I've seen in a while. That's not really a compliment because I've watched a lot of dog shit lately. But it's better than 31. It's better than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's better than Halloween Ends. Like I've watched a lot of crap lately, sure, but like it's still a better movie than the ones a lot of the stuff I've watched in a while. But it's still, I wouldn't even. It's okay. To me it's okay. I see why some people think it's good. Like if you like witches, this might be up your alley. Like this is not my genre. Clearly, with the I'm not a supernatural guy as I've just went into here, but you know, neither here nor there. That's my review. That's my review, lads. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. This is an okay movie. It's not the best thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. I feel like you might think I gave it a little too much shit, but again, the reason I criticize Rob so much, like here's the thing. This is a better movie than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Okay? But I cut Winnie the Pooh and Blood and Honey a lot of slack. And like I said, I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna... Like, I enjoyed it, okay? But, like, this movie, I probably enjoyed a little bit less than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Because, again, I watched this one alone on a fucking Saturday night. Versus Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I watched it in theaters with a group of people that were kind of laughing at it. Like, but, you know, I cut Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey some slack because I had no faith in the project to be good. Rob Zombie, I have faith in the man. I know he has a masterpiece in there somewhere. I give him this harsh criticism because I genuinely like his stuff, and I'm interested in what he can bring to the table. The stuff he gets right, he gets really fucking right. And I know he has a fucking great fucking masterpiece in there somewhere. I think he's already delivered his masterpiece. Now he needs to deliver an actual horror masterpiece, if you will. But that's why I'm harder on him, because I see more potential in him. Whereas Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I view as a joke, right? I don't view Zombie as a joke. The man is competent. The man is good at directing. He's good at choosing camera shots. He's good at visuals. He's good at stuff. That's why I'm going to give his plots the shit they need to be given, because I want him to write a good one. You know? Again, it feels like I'm tearing all of his movies apart, and you know what? I am a little bit. And I gave his 2 Halloweens positive reviews because those movies deserve positive reviews. They get too much shit, and they're underlooked and underappreciated. This movie, The Lords of Salem, is probably about as good of a movie as his 2007 Halloween. It's definitely not better than 2009 Halloween 2. And if I'm picking, I'm easily picking Halloween 07 over this. Much of that might just be down to personal preference, because again, I acknowledge this is a well-made movie. It's just not my cup of tea. But anyway, it's still okay. It's still it's still better than 31 and all that fun stuff. Okay, again, I'm repeating myself. I'm getting the hell out of here now. GG's, lads.